Okay, let's start with a direct question for our listeners, particularly those in decision-making roles. Are you currently doing business, maybe undertaking projects in industries like, say, manufacturing, finance, healthcare, or even public services?
Because if you are, there's something really critical we need to dive into today. It's about data protection. Specifically, the urgency around appointing a data protection officer, or DPO, under Malaysia's Act 709.
Exactly. And it's not just about ticking a box, is it? The real challenge, the thing companies seem to be grappling with, is making sure that DPO actually has the knowledge, the strategic capability to do the job properly.
You're absolutely spot on. Simply having a name isn't enough. We're talking about implementing and overseeing compliance effectively. That means informing and advising on how personal data is processed, doing proper risk assessments.
Right, and coordinating with everyone involved across the organization. It's a significant role.
It really is. These aren't just admin tasks. They're core strategic functions that demand real expertise.
Which brings us to something timely, the upcoming MPC Forum on May 26th. It sounds like this event is set to tackle this very issue head-on.
Yes, precisely. There's going to be a panel of experts really digging into this need for knowledgeable data protection leadership. The focus is shifting from just appointment to actual strategic capability.
And this isn't happening in a vacuum. We're seeing how crucial this is, especially with the rise of AI. I mean, think about that recent flags incident.
Yes. A really stark example, unfortunately. It highlights what can kind of bubble to the surface when AI governance, which absolutely includes robust data protection, is missing or, well, inadequate.
So it really underscores the risks if those foundations aren't solid.
Definitely.
Okay, let's maybe break down the legal side a bit more. Act 709 mandates a DPO, we know that. But what are the nuances decision makers really need to grasp beyond just making that appointment?
Well, one key thing to understand, and it's important, is that appointing a DPO doesn't just, wipe the slate clean for the company itself. The data controller or processor of the organization still holds the ultimate responsibility and liability for compliance.
So the buck still stops with the company leadership. The DPO is a crucial part of the puzzle, but not the whole picture liability-wise.
Exactly. The DPO advises, monitors, facilitates, but the overall accountability stays with the organization.
The guidelines also touch on the DPO maybe having other roles in the company. What's the thinking there? What should businesses be cautious about?
That's a practical point, but it comes with caveats. Yes, a DPO can hold other positions, but the crucial factor is accessibility. They need to be readily available when data protection issues arise.
Okay, so accessibility is key.
Yes, and that's linked to the requirement for them to be based in Malaysia or at the very least easily contactable. Think about it. If there's a data breach, you need that person available quickly, not, juggling conflicting priorities or hard to reach.
Right, responsiveness is critical in those situations. So it sounds like a truly effective DPO is more about proactive risk management than just reactive compliance.
Yeah.
What are some of those key proactive responsibilities?
A really core aspect is the risk-based approach. A knowledgeable DPO doesn't just apply a one-size-fits-all checklist. They need to properly assess the specific data processing activities of that organization. Look at the nature, the scope, the context, the purpose of the processing.
So tailored.
Exactly. Tailored and targeted. And their advisory role goes beyond just quoting the act. It involves educating teams, making sure everyone understands the requirements, and advising on how other laws might interact with data protection duties.
And inevitably, incidents sometimes happen. What's the DPO's role when things go wrong, like a breach?
Well, they're accountable to the organization for compliance, as we said. This means they need to facilitate things like inspections or investigations if the authorities get involved. And crucially, they're responsible for preparing and submitting detailed reports about any data breaches within the specific timelines set by the law.
Which requires knowing the law and the company's data flows inside out.
Precisely. You can't do that effectively without in-depth knowledge.
Okay, let's pivot slightly and connect this firmly to AI. We see businesses adopting AI more and more. How does having this strong DPO, this solid data protection foundation, help with governing AI responsibly?
That's a great question because they are deeply interconnected. You've got the national guidelines on AI governance and ethics, right? They're there to support the national AI roadmap and promote what's called responsible AI.
Responsible AI.
And within those guidelines, key principles are laid out. Things like fairness, accountability, transparency, but also, critically, privacy and security, and who has a primary role in upholding privacy and security principles.
The DPO.
Exactly. Their work is fundamental to achieving that responsible AI goal.
And are these AI guidelines just theoretical, or do they reflect actual business trends?
Oh, they definitely reflect reality. The guidelines themselves point to data showing quite a significant uptake of AI already across businesses, with more growth expected. So this isn't a future problem, it's happening now.
Which makes the data protection aspect even more critical, I suppose.
Absolutely. Any existing weaknesses in how you handle data, how you protect it, they just get magnified when you start feeding that data into AI systems.
So let's circle back to the flags incident again. How specifically does a weak data protection environment, maybe one without that knowledgeable DPO guiding things, contribute to that kind of problem surfacing with AI?
Well, think of it like building a house on shaky foundations. If you don't have good processes overseen by someone knowledgeable for understanding your data, where it came from, how accurate it is, who can access it, is it being used fairly, then building an AI on top of that.
It inherits all those problems.
It inherits the problems and potentially creates new ones, often at scale. The flags incident is, in essence, a symptom of governance gaps where foundational data practices, things a good DPO focuses on, weren't robust enough before the AI was deployed or perhaps during its operation.
So the DPO's role extends into ensuring the data fueling the AI is handled correctly from the start.
Yes, it's a prerequisite for ethical and effective AI. You need that data governance layer first.
And do the AI guidelines themselves talk about managing AI risks?
They do. They outline an AI risk management process. It emphasizes identifying and managing risks, particularly those impacting safety and fundamental rights, like privacy. A DPO, with their understanding of data vulnerabilities and privacy principles, is perfectly placed to contribute significantly to that AI risk assessment.
Okay, I see how intertwined they are. So bringing it all together then, the MPC forum on May 26th, how is it going to help decision makers navigate this complex intersection of data protection and AI?
The forum seems designed specifically for that. It's not just theory. They're bringing in practitioners. You've got Mr. Zach Azizul Othman, Mr. Isaac Lee, Mr. Lee Nan Fin, PS10 at Keong People with real-world experience, and Mr. Pius Palkar moderating.
So practical insights.
Exactly. The aim, as I understand it, is to give decision makers actionable strategies. How do you move beyond just appointing a DPO to truly empowering them? How do you build that robust data protection framework that's now essential, especially with AI becoming so prevalent? It's about building that solid foundation.
So the takeaway for leaders listening is quite clear then. In today's world, with data everywhere and AI evolving so fast, having a knowledgeable DPO isn't just about compliance anymore.
No, it's really fundamental. It's about building trust with customers, with partners. It's about managing significant risks, both data risks and now AI risks. And ultimately, it's about enabling responsible innovation so your organization can actually thrive.
It's a strategic imperative, really.
Couldn't agree more.
And that MPC forum on May 26th sounds like a key opportunity for leaders to get practical guidance on how to actually achieve that.
Yes, a chance to understand how to really leverage that DPO expertise, not just have the role filled on paper.
So perhaps the final thought for our listeners as they think about their own organizations. Are you just checking the box with your DPO appointment? Or are you genuinely equipping your business with the strategic data protection expertise needed to navigate and succeed in this increasingly data-driven, AI-powered future?
That really is the crucial question they need to be asking themselves.